I took this man from Gran Turismo 7, found him in real life, and put him in a terribly tuned car for your viewing pleasure. Inspired by a combination of Hot Ones and Top Gear, my goal was to disarm our driver by making them pilot a car that wants to flip like the Reliant Robin and interviewing them while challenging them to set the fastest lap they possibly could. Introducing the Star in an Unreasonably Tuned Car Challenge series. Our second guest is one of my very best friends. He can be found as an AI opponent, but also as one of the talking heads in various single-player races. Like the other AI drivers, he got to be in the game because of his accomplishments in the FIA and GTWS series races. Having been to 5 of the national and international competitions, he's also an accomplished wheelman in real life, and even met his amazing wife as an autocross instructor. I'm lucky enough to know him in real life, so I was able to have him and his wife Kim live in my studio when filming this episode. I'm here, actually in person, with Roadbeef, aka T Bayless, who you may recognize as the AI driver with the coolest truck in the Colorado Springs pickup truck race, one of the talking heads in the Porsche Cup races at Spa giving you advice about the rainy races, and many other races in the single-player mode. He's been to 5 different World Tour events and has spent a considerable amount of time behind the wheel of real cars. We first met online racing each other in the top split of manufacturers in Nations Cup before meeting in real life years ago, and now we're besties. And even though I screwed up all of that, we're going to go anyways. This is just content. All right. Feel free to jump on track.
All right, let's do this. Well, what the hell?
I do actually have my questions prepared, but I'm just waiting for the right time to ask the very first one. What is the origin of the name Roadbeef?
That happened quickly. Oh, geez.
Do a barrel roll.
The origin of the name Roadbeef comes from my older brother Micah, who used it as his nickname when we first got a computer at home connected to the internet in the early 90s, and we had internet relay chat, IRC chat. That was like in the days before AOL Messenger or anything. He and his friend were sat in the computer room trying to come up with the most disgusting or obnoxious name as they could, because they were like, 13, so, and it was my dad's computer. They couldn't have an obscenity in the name. And they're like, road snots, ground beef, no, road beef. They used it for one day. I happened to be sat behind them during this. My goodness, this is ridiculous. Okay. Well, this is going to take a little more finesse. More finesse than my brother used in choosing that name. Or less. We'll see. Anyway, he used it that one time. I co-opted it and have used it ever since.
Co-opted? Is that a fancy word for steal?
I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, again.
Are you technically then the second Roadbeef?
Yes.
I like that. Okay, excellent. Good job stealing that. It's probably one of the most successful thefts that I've heard of in the Gran Turismo community.
Oh, thank you.
What event was your very first in-person event in Gran Turismo?
Whoa. What in the heck? Wow. My goodness.
Would you agree that it's unreasonably tuned?
It's unreasonably tuned, but we'll get the hang of it. I qualified for and attended the 2018 Las Vegas Nations Regional Finals. And I was going to do well, but the qualifier, I was purple in 2 sectors. And, goodness, hit the wall of the chicane of death at, what was that, Seaside? Dragon Trail?
Oh,
Seaside?
Dragon Trail. The actual chicane of death. The one.
I was purple on my lap. Everyone else had finished theirs. And I was going to line up 1-2 with my Gran Turismo bro, Eddie Gomez Vardez.
Okay.
But was not to be. I lined up, I think, 7th or 8th instead.
Wow.
I had food poisoning. I walked around 9 miles trying to find Pumas that were size 15 so that I can fit in with everyone else in their special Pumas. Oh my goodness. I can't exit that corner on the throttle. So I got plantar fasciitis, which are, very harshly pulled muscles on the bottom of your feet that are quite painful. So that plus the food poisoning from bad sushi the day before I left for the trip made for a rather memorable first live event.
Yeah, that's tough. I feel like just the death chicane by itself is enough. That was amazing. I liked how you balanced that.
Thanks.
All right. Flashback. Top slip manufacturers. Gran Turismo Sport. How many meters early did I brake when you were a few cars behind me?
Oh, only like 75.
That's very generous. I'm pretty sure it was 100 meters too early. How many positions do you think I lost in that exact moment?
Yes.
My first time in pole position. That was before we were actually friends, too, wasn't it?
That was before. Yes, that was. I think where I decided we were friends was the St. Croix Group 4 race.
Oh.
It was like St. Croix A reverse, I want to say, or something like that. It was a big showdown I had with Lloyd's. It was in the Viper. But you and Erky were on voice chat and on stream. That was awesome. Just
That
like
was really good. I like that a lot.
trike. This thing is just a huge trike. Erky and you were particularly impressed with my qualifying effort. Erky was actually quite incensed about it, and it's like, oh, these guys are definitely my friends now. Almost got that together.
It's funny how that works with competition.
Getting the hang of it.
Okay. Now for the really fun stuff. Back in the late 90s, a predatory licensing practice led to Porsche being unavailable in many racing games, including Gran Turismo. This issue was partially circumvented by including a certain car brand. What is that car brand, and what is your special connection to it?
That would be Roof Automobile. Now, I worked at Roof from March 2004 to October of 2005. Oh my goodness, way too fast. Wow.
You almost ended up on your roof. Haha!
Badoomts. So 20 months, I worked in the parts department, X Works, which is to say they were so popular we didn't have to solicit business. It was just the phone was ringing constantly. And so I picked it up and answered emails and helped ship parts to our many English-speaking partners, Canada, Puerto Rico, Japan. I even sent a set of wheels to the island of Réunion in the Indian Ocean. That was cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, quite the experience. And in the evening, when he was in town, which was maybe a third to half the time, I was Mr. Roof's evening liaison, which is to say he was a guy who did not use a computer and needed people to transcribe emails for him, because he was a guy who basically got about as tech savvy as faxes, and that was his ceiling.
Faxes that were... The fax machine was famously invented in the 1800s, which is an extra funny thing there.
And so was Alois Roof.
There are many famous cars in the Roof heritage. Did you get to drive any of them?
Yes.
Can you talk about any of those?
I can talk about all of them. Why don't I start at the top? I was in possession of the Yellowbird for 2 weeks, stored at my house, my parents' house in California. 2005 summer, there was this special Porsche Club event called Escape to Wine Country. It was like a mirror of the Porsche parade, which was at Daytona that year, I think.
Oh!
What was that?
It's a very fast car. Fast lap, sorry.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's a very, very fast lap.
Oh, baby.
That's either what Randy did or just a second off. But that took him a half hour-ish.
Well,
yeah, I believe it's a second off, and it's a second faster than I've gone.
If I'm at the benchmark of Randy, then I'm quite happy.
Whew. Sorry, I interrupted a very good story.
I was talking about the Escape to Wine Country, and the Roof were like the featured marquee. There were, I think, 5 Roof owners in California who brought their cars out, and the Yellowbird was shipped out to kind of do like a tour of the United States that year anyway. Mr. Roof needed someone to store it, and I just happened to be local and trusted as an employee at the time. And basically storing the Roof in our house doubled the house's value.
That tracks. Oh.
Goodness.
It's amazing that you went from you were consistently in the 20s, the low 20s, around that, and then suddenly you dropped 7 seconds off or 8 seconds off of your best time, and then you were sticking with that.
That was my first lap where I didn't flip.
Yeah. Sense. Yeah, my best lap was of 114 something. I feel like I need to get back on this, but it's also unfair because I tuned it, so you'd think I'd have an advantage, but apparently not. What other famous Roof cars did you get to drive?
I've driven a CTR2, I've driven 520R turbo, 550R turbo, 590R turbo, a 650R turbo. Been passenger in a 700 horsepower R turbo. The max speed I've been as a passenger is 228 miles an hour. The fastest I've driven myself is 208 miles an hour. On Autobahn, of course, you know. So legal.
As you do.
Middle of the night. Oh, geez.
Wow.
I've got to figure out how to do that without taking my foot off the gas.
Yeah, that one's really tough.
I noticed this thing is very stable under braking. It doesn't roll until you get on the gas.
Yeah, it's very diabolical. I stole that word from you. I say it all the time now because you say it. You say it to great effect, and you make it
Oh
funny.
my goodness. Oh, geez. What the hell?
That's like, we'll have to save the replay of you driving the R32 for this week's Daily C.
Oh,
You
yeah.
did one of those.
It did.
Okay, that was beautiful.
It's like the car's playing hopscotch.
There was a racing game / service a long time ago where you have quite an impressive record. Do you mind sharing what your win-loss ratio was on that game?
Oh, that was Race to Play, which used R Factor, GTR2, Live for Speed, Race 07, a couple other titles. And stock cars and off-road as well. I had total races. I think I did like 497 races. Among them, long endurance races and 30-minute sprints. And my win ratio, I think, was like 54% of all races I entered.
Insanity.
I had a greater than 90% podium ratio.
That is ridiculous. I wish we could compare those stats to just like anyone else in any other sim. Either way, very impressive. As you can see, a lot of this is just an opportunity to brag about yourself.
Trying to find time.
When did you and I first meet? I don't mean in real life, I meant on track.
Oh, I want to say it was Brands Hatch, Jaguar E-Type race. You, me, Defsun had a big battle.
Yep.
Defsun was faster than us, not because he's better. Defsun sucks. Just kidding. Just kidding. Defsun's amazing. But Defsun was the only one between us that had a manual shifter.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, Gran Turismo Sport had less gear shift time for those who were shifting with a manual shifter. I have to figure that out too. So Defsun won, but you and I had quite the battle, I think. Isn't that how the result worked?
Very much, yeah. I believe I qualified ahead of you, but you passed me on the first corner.
Something like
Does that sound familiar?
Into Druids, yeah.
And I had never actually heard of you, and so I was very curious why someone was able to pass me
Who the
immediately. Exactly. I was streaming. Who the fuck is this guy? What is going on? Okay. Would you consider yourself more of a gamer or a racer?
Gamer.
I like that.
Oh, that was going to be a good lap, I think.
What other video games do you play?
It's going to be a little embarrassing and cringe, but Fortnite.
Nothing wrong with that.
I guess not. Unless you spent a lot of money on skins, which I have.
Still nothing wrong with that. Because you can spend the money. That's good. You are a grown adult. You buy those video game aesthetics as much as you want.
Thanks.
What else do you play and have played?
Have played a lot of War Thunder, which is a war tank airplane simulator game. It's also a naval simulator, but no one ever plays naval.
I did not know that. I had no clue there was any naval simulation in that game.
Quite good, actually.
Ah.
But tedious, and you're always playing against AI since no actual players play it.
That's interesting.
Oh, that was the wall. I found it. It's right there.
There it is. What is your favorite video game of all time?
I think it has to be Gran Turismo. It's given me so much back, for all the time I've put into it. And I played it for many, many hundreds, if not thousands of hours before I ever actually competed in something in really life. And I feel like Gran Turismo did prep me pretty well for, training simple things like where should you be looking from corner to corner? How do you quickly react to almost losing control of the car? Oh, baby, like that.
Oh. Oh!
And I think I figured that one out.
You just beat Randy.
Oh, yes!
I'm pretty sure you
Randy, I love you. I'm sorry. Not sorry.
Incredible effort. Wow. Very impressive. What is your favorite racing series to watch?
Formula One. I'm a gigantic an obnoxious Formula One nerd and fan. I'm an almanac.
Anyone in our circle of friends that has any question about anything happening in F1 is always saying, you should ask Beef. I don't know if any of us actually do. Probably because my attention span lasts about 30 seconds and I forget that I have a question. If you could participate in any racing series, what would it be?
Probably NLS, like what Jimmer and Super GT are doing now, the Nürburgring Endurance Series. Because I've been there in real life. I've driven on the Nürburgring, probably done about 50 laps in various cars. And it is heaven on earth. It's as good as they say it is.
What's the best car that you drove on the Nürburgring?
I drove an E60 M5.
Oh.
I drove a 997 GT3 RS. I drove a Caterham Academy. I've driven a 535 diesel, which was surprisingly fast. I did 9 minutes 20 in that with 5 people in the car from bridge to Gentry on a Turismo day, which is about as fast as Sabine Schmitz did with the diesel Jaguar. So, we're about comparable. That was a nice feather in the cap. I've met her, by the way. She, rest in peace, she was an absolutely wonderful gal. And just as spicy as she came off in Top Gear. She doesn't take anyone's bullshit, and she is extremely good at driving.
It's fantastic. There is another connection you have to the name at the very least. Sabine.
Oh, yes. Our Katie. We have is she 12 or 13? 14.
Oh my god, I did not know that. I actually didn't know that.
Wait, no. My math was wrong. She was born in summer of 2013, so she's 12.
I'm not sure if they heard that. Just in case you guys didn't pick it up, Roadbeef's wonderful wife, Kim, known as Kim Sognathis, on Twitch chat, is actually here, just slightly out of camera view.
Lurking, judging.
Lurking and judging. I had to say it.
Oh, no.
Just in case they couldn't hear, because I do have a strange microphone setup. But hopefully they did hear. Explain the Gummy Bear shoulder incidents.
Oh my god.
I helped with the questions.
Alright, so I have for a long time in my life been a sugar freak. Just love candy of all kinds, but also particularly gummies. And there was an incident in Christmas. I have 3 older brothers. I'm the youngest of all 4, and the Christmas where I was about to turn 4, because my birthday's the 26th, my oldest brother had come back from college, and he had with him a very particularly interesting 5-pound bag of gummy worms. And he thought he hid it well enough. He did not. And going to bed on the Christmas Eve, I snuck into his luggage and grabbed a big handful of gummy worms and took them to bed with me. And, curled up with them like this. And ate some, and I was just so happy I had gummy worms. And the next morning, I woke up and my head was stuck to my shoulder from gummy worms. It was also the first morning that our family ever had.
Gotta keep driving.
Gotta keep driving. Sorry. First time my family ever had a camcorder, and so the very first thing my family ever filmed with a camcorder was my dad opening up my bedroom door and seeing me stuck to my shoulder like this. And I wanted to cry. I tried to cry, to garner sympathy as the youngest child does. But it was so funny, I was laughing too.
You made me snort. Years after the fact.
Good.
I hear there are multiple incidents, though.
Are there multiple incidents? That's the main one. That's certainly...
That's the main one, but you did it again as an adult.
Did I?
Yes!
Well, my wife knows me pretty well. I'm gonna take her word for it. She might have to fill this in.
Stuck. It was not as stuck for sure, but you woke up with gummy bears in your shirt and on your shoulder since we've been together, which has been 14 years. But an adult memory.
This is giving him a purple lap.
I neither confirm nor deny these allegations.
Perfect. That makes it way funnier. Excellent. We've actually already covered this. What is the fastest you've ever driven? 208 miles an hour?
I've driven 208, yeah.
What car was that?
I was in a 550 roof R turbo. It was a right-hand drive as well. So I had to,
Spicy.
figure it out.
That's insane.
That was on the A7 Autobahn south of Memmingen at about 1 in the morning.
What's the scariest or riskiest thing that you've done, car-related, after asking you how fast you've gone, I feel like it might be the same answer, but maybe not.
You know, going that high speed is extremely dangerous because, you know, even when your tires are in perfect condition, maintaining that speed for more than a few minutes will melt them. They exceed like 300 degrees Fahrenheit at surface temperature, and they're meant to only go to like 220 inside their operating window, and they'll just start to delaminate. And if you get an explosive failure, then, you know, you're going to be now an airborne projectile.
I did not know that about tires at that speed.
Yep.
There's so much I don't know.
I feel like I scraped the right rear bumper there.
It looked like it. I liked that.
Yeah, I heard a sound as well, even though I didn't hit the wall.
I believe I asked you this. No, I asked you a slight variation on this just off the cuff.
I did it again.
I asked you what the best car you drove around the Nürburgring was. What's the best car you've driven, period?
I'm going to think about that for a sec. I have to say it's my 912, which I don't have anymore. Lost it in a fire. Is a 68 Porsche 912, a short wheelbase. It was an outlaw 912, so it had a lot of modifications, but also some modifications that might have drawn the ire of Porsche traditionalists, such as hood pins, a bit more fiberglass than you might anticipate. It had anything you could think of to be done to the engine while keeping it the same original case was done. It only had 122 horsepower, but it also weighed probably like 1,800 pounds.
Oh.
And won a couple of autocross championships with that. Met my wife with that. And it brought a lot of joy because I prefer to have passengers when I'm autocrossing. It's about just sharing the fun. And I became very confident with that thing, tossing it around and stuff. So I would give new people rides. I would instruct them in that thing. It made a great noise. It was just kind of fun to look at from a spectator's point of view, too. I would say that one's the best. Wow, how did I keep that off the
That
wall?
was incredible. Every time that you talk about driving, you start setting purples. Except for the one time you were talking about gummy bears. Which do you like more, driving or gummy bears?
Driving.
That was a quick answer. I like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, how did that happen? I like how the sparks were still there.
Did you like catch one of the many? You hit a Marshall, a very strong Marshall.
Yep.
Who's the best of the holy trio of Top Gear hosts?
Best in what way?
Yep.
I think Clarkson has to be it because Clarkson's the driving force. He's the one who constructs so much of the narrative. Behind the scenes, Andy Willman, their producer, came up with, you know, all those great challenges that they'd have to do. That was Willman who came up with that, not Clarkson. But the majority of reviews, you know, Clarkson's just a tour de force, and I think what he did was set a standard that Richard Hammond and James May then sought to aspire to meet with their reviews. And years of practice gave us the Top Gear we remember so fondly.
That was a beautiful answer. I didn't expect such a good answer, actually.
Oh, cool.
I don't know why I underestimated you. You think I would know better by now. What's your most memorable sim race?
Most memorable sim race?
Yeah.
Man.
And I said this to Randy as well, but I couldn't actually answer this. I don't actually know.
Oh, I almost caught that. Almost had that together. I'm figuring this thing out. It's like once it starts to tip, I can kind of manipulate it to continue to turn without also exceeding tip, but then I can't really accelerate until it's flat on the ground again.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I don't know if I saw Randy doing that very often. Randy was deliberately drifting it to get so the friction didn't cause it to tip. You're just rolling with the roll, which is really interesting.
Just figuring it out. I mean, this thing is three-wheeling like a trike, and that 912 I described was always three-wheeling, so I'm almost kind of... Life prepped me for this. Let's put it that way.
That's so funny. I'd be interested to see what your optimal is right now.
Let me get through these corners and I'll show you.
Excellent. Do you have a favorite sim race that you can consider?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that answer. I've done so many of them.
You've done thousands.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, your optimal's hilarious. 10.6, okay. Okay, who is your...
I haven't answered that question yet.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to annoy you as much as I can. Who is your favorite sim racer?
Oh, you'd be up there. My Porsche teammates, Mats and Angel.
Beautiful men.
Wonderful guys.
Love those guys.
Yeah, I'm starting to figure out what the threshold of tip is. I feel like I've never met him, I've never talked to him, but I think that the sim racing world at large owes something to Gregor Hutu.
Absolutely.
You know, the first real alien. Nice, I took a second off.
You got a 10.
He's an introvert. He was given a Formula Mazda test in real life by iRacing because they're just like, this guy's clearly the best in the world. Let's see what he can actually do. He doesn't drive because he doesn't have a license. He gets motion sickness really easily, but he still powered through it. And he's like, I'm gonna suffer just to let the world know what I can do. He was able to set times within like a second of actual pro Mazda drivers, even though he had to pull over every 2 laps to throw up.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think Gregor Hutu is a pioneer of connecting sim and real racing. And now we have people like Max Verstappen, who has made several GT3 teams specifically to try and get Team Redline people to graduate to the real thing. And what better advocate, what higher advocate can we have than Max Verstappen, 4-time current defending F1 world champion, for the promotion of that cross of worlds.
Beautiful answers. I like that.
Still trying to think of the previous question, best sim race. I mean, man, there have been so many. I've had super close races. I can think of one that might be my favorite. It was a race at Paul Ricard in R Factor at Race to Play in Lamborghini Gallardo Cup cars, which were just, it's just spec GT4-ish or GT3 class. And I raced against this Brazilian named Eduardo Prado, whom I consider to be, about as good as Gregor Hutu, just a phenomenal talent. And of course, I'm, bolstering him. I'm puffing him up so that I sound just as good, because we had a side-by-side battle basically for the entire race, just back and forth, and no contact whatsoever. Super clean. At the end of the race, he described it to me as he thought that he was René Arnoux and I was Gilles Villeneuve, and it was Dijon 79 between the Renault and the Ferrari. That incredible, if you guys don't know it, look it up on YouTube. It's widely considered as maybe one of the most classic ever motorsport duels. He thought that was the feeling he had at the end, that it couldn't have gotten any more thrilling or satisfying or close or sportsmanlike. And I felt so proud to be part of that.
I love that.
Sim racing delivers just as much raw emotion, satisfaction, thrill, and drama as the real thing, and that's why I've always been doing it.
That's beautiful.
Can't get enough.
My next question is, do you have a sim racing rival?
Had many rivals. In the race to play days, someone who was as fast as me and really hated it anytime I was faster than him was a guy named David Fisher, who's a professional interior photographer in New York City, very hoity-toity, but I wore him down. And we became friends by the end of our rivalry. I would say more recently, I think both Turismo Lester and Robbie Heck were rivals of mine, because we both fought for the Porsche Championship in the 2019 and 2020 World Championships, online World Championships, respectively. And it got a little heated with both of them, a little bit of drama, but we kept it sportsmanlike ultimately. And I love having someone who takes me to task that I have to rise to meet the challenge of, who's initially, faster in like 4 races in a row, or faster in qualifying, or just figures something out that I don't know. There's no improvement without comparison. And although in a lot of cases comparison can be the thief of joy, I just found the wall again. In racing, comparison is like an essential component to self-improvement. Whether you're comparing your ghost in time trial to yourself, or you're racing someone else and you're thinking what their strategy, what was so good about it that's allowed them to defeat you even though your lap times were better, or something like that. There's a phrase, I don't know if someone else said it before or if I came up with it, but it is a competitor who takes you to victory. There is no victory without the competitor present. There's just as much ownership of that victory with the person that you defeated or was defeated by you, as there is for your own effort. It's hard to say this while I'm driving this.
Yeah.
But does that make sense? It's important that we recognize as often as we can, if not at all times, that the joy is meant to be shared. And if you win and you shit on your opponent, that's just bad form. No matter what they did. Even if they are like super terrible, you're still going to learn something from their shenanigans. It's still something to think about and ponder.
You're better than me.
Yeah.
I really don't like a lot of the people I race against.
I don't think I'm better than you. I think that you're doing this day in and day out, right? With people who aren't really practicing or taking it super seriously.
That's a good point. Okay, you're right. That is a good point. I am just as good as you in that regard. Then. I didn't get any reaction. What's your dream car?
It's drifting. I can answer that very quickly. A Dpr 962. I don't think I fit in it, but that's still the dream car. It's a street legal, Group C race car.
Oh. You said Group C?
Yep.
Street legal Group C.
It's a Porsche 962, but street legal. So,
Jack, clip that.
Dpr made this amazing. Oh, almost held that.
I liked that.
Group C ended in 1991. 91 was the year that Mazda won with the 787, and that was the last Group C to win, I believe, because the Peugeots in the next 2 years were a different class. They were like, I forget what it was called exactly. Maybe I'm mistaken. But anyway, the 962 was basically made redundant and old news. But then in 94, the ACO who hosts Le Mans decided, okay, we're going to make it, street cars, GT street cars. So no more prototypes. And Porsche were like, well, okay, wait a minute. This company named Dpr took a 962 and made it street legal. If we take the Venturi tunnels off of it, but keep everything else, we could turn it back into a race car and enter that. And that's exactly what they did in 1994, and they won outright with it.
Was it like a homologation?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard of that. I like that very much. What's your favorite space fact?
Space fact?
Mm-hmm.
We are all star stuff. Every single atom inside your body came from an exploding star. Or the Big Bang, if it's, hydrogen or the most basic of periodic table elements. Yeah, man. We're made of the products of intense gravity, collisions, explosions. And so if you think we're made of star stuff, I finally screwed up that corner. We are, in effect, the universe experiencing itself. And that is crazy to consider.
Things that stoners and scientists would both say.
Yes, in the Venn diagram.
The Venn diagram.
At last they meet.
How many hours would you estimate you have in Gran Turismo as a series, if you could possibly estimate such a thing?
How many hours are in a year? Can you calculate that for me real quick? 7 times 24 times 365?
I think Kim's on it. I couldn't do that even with a calculator. For those of you who watch me stream, you know that's true.
61,320.
Okay, so let's say 60, so that's...
Oh, wait, no.
3.
That's
the whole...
No, that's not right.
That's not right?
Well, 24 hours times 365. You did an extra.
Oh, an extra 7, sorry.
So 8,760.
Okay, math.
Clearly your strong suit while driving.
Okay, so 8,000, so let's say 10% of that. So let's say 400. Let's be conservative and put it down to gosh, it's going to be somewhere around 12,000 hours. Now I'm missing that breaking point big time now.
Numbers.
Scratch
is
the
what
chin,
finally
miss the
did it.
break.
Math.
It was math, just like me.
I'd say 8 to 12,000 hours might be reasonable because I've been playing Gran Turismo since the demo disc in 1997.
Yeah, same. What is your favorite non-main series Gran Turismo game?
When I moved to Germany, before Gran Turismo 4 came out, there was GT Concept Tokyo, which was Gran Turismo 3 kind of modded a little bit. wasn't. It felt different than Gran Turismo 3, and it had cars that I don't think have been featured ever since. That was a ridiculous role. And that was the first video game I played after I moved to Germany, and I was quite lonely for the first several months. I didn't really have friends or speak German, and I was just a homebody, lonely introvert. So that game brings back a lot of fond memories. And it felt like a very special title. I was lucky to find it just in a shop in, Mindelheim, Germany, a town of like 4,000 people. I don't know how it got onto the shelves there.
Yeah.
It just felt fortuitous. It's like someone put this here for me to find.
Yeah, that's interesting. Final question. It's not really a home run. It's just kind of an interesting thing to ponder. Who do you think is the best Gran Turismo driver specifically of all time?
In terms of just raw pace, or my opinion, best?
Your opinion, just best. If you can reduce it that much.
I'm going to have to... There's so many candidates, let me preface it that way. So I hope no one feels bad about being left out, but I've got to say Igor. Igor, because he's a guy who seems to not have an ego, or at least if he does, he doesn't act on it in such a way where he puts himself before others. And one of my fondest memories was after winning the Manufacturer Series in Tokyo in 2019. The next morning, we were all at the hotel breakfast bar, sat down. Kim and I had just sat down, and we had like an extra seat across from us, and he just came over and sat down and congratulated me and wanted to talk about the race and took an interest in things. And we had been acquaintances before that. It's not like he had been standoffish or anything, but he was a bit of like a celebrity already by then.
Yeah.
Because we knew he was going to Formula 3. He was the world champion from the previous year. There was a lot of reason to have starry eyes in a way. And his approach was so unassuming and low-key and friendly. It just felt like he made a specific effort to be friendly. And there wasn't really anything to gain so much from it, because it's not like he's a fast mofo, and I don't think he's going to learn much from how to go faster from me. So it was genuinely, I think, just he wanted to kind of be respectful and congratulate me. And that really took me by surprise, considering in my experience with sim racing and just racing in general, that for the most part, really fast people do have big egos.
Very much.
Like the David Fisher rival I told you about before. You have to like wear them down, right? They don't want to be friends. They don't want to hear how they're slower. They just want to assume what they think they know is the truth, that they're faster than everybody. And it takes a certain kind of humility to not roll the card. It takes a certain kind of humility to be so approachable and engaging, and to want to listen rather than talk. Those are the qualities of a high, just a high quality person, a supreme human. And ever since then, Igor and I have maintained, some conversation. I follow his career very closely. He's in Super Formula in Japan this year, and he's probably I think he's the top performing rookie so far. He might not be considered a rookie, because I think he did like a race. I can't quite remember, like tests last year, but he's kicking ass.
He's doing fantastic.
And we all hope that his once predestined path towards Formula One, which got ruined by Charu's Racing Systems. Thanks, guys, by the way, for giving him such a dog shit car and then strangling him in a contract so he couldn't keep up his Red Bull ties. We're all very thankful, Charu's Racing Systems. We all hope that he's going to. We all hope Igor's going to make it back to Formula One eventually, or at least something equivalent. Le Mans. Shit, I'd go see Igor if he went to NASCAR or IndyCar, right?
I'd follow him. He is, just like you say, you have to have an ego to do this, but he doesn't, like you said, he doesn't use it against anyone. He doesn't have an ego against anyone. Like, certainly he believes in himself and he knows how good he is, but he's the most approachable, nicest, and open person. I actually had a secret project with him that unfortunately never got finished. We did a whole bunch of tandem drifting in GT7 the first year that GT7 came out, and we were just going to make a fun project of us tandem drifting everywhere in various different cars. And we both ran out of time and couldn't quite get enough footage and couldn't quite find enough time to actually put it together as an actual project. But the entire time he was just so down to earth. And I remember I had asked him what he had done for like his brake balance for, or what brake settings he was using for drifting. And I told him that I use weak ABS because no ABS doesn't feel right, and ABS it understeers too much. And he's like, oh, I'll try that. And he just zero ego. Compared to him, I have done nothing in racing or in sim racing, and he just immediately decided that what I had done for my approach to drifting was good enough to try, and then he was doing that for a little bit. On top of that, I had tried to take his world record. I got second place in the world when Super Chicken and I had set up the only Lamborghini in the entirety of the top 100 for the very first tuning nations race, and we came and I ended up winning the second race because we didn't do enough testing beforehand and I crashed into a wall. But I did win the second race, and I tried to steal his world record, and he was hanging out the entire time. And afterwards, when he did the drifting project, he's like, hey, would you like to know why it is you couldn't beat me? He's like, let me give you some advice on Deep Forest. And he just straight up told me the secrets to driving much faster in Deep Forest and what I could have done to beat him so I could beat him.
Oh, that's right.
In the future.
He's done exactly the same thing for me. This was after Tokyo. I think it was 2020, 2021. I asked him to watch a video of my line through Fuji with the Group 3 911, and he had very constructive and technical feedback. It wasn't just like, try this harder. It was very specific, like when you were applying this much pressure with this much steering angle at this part of the course because of this camber angle, this happened, and you can avoid that by doing this. It was the kind of answer that requires ponderance of a certain amount of time to construct an answer that you feel is accurate and helpful, and that takes effort. Sitting down, thinking about it, watching it again.
Yeah.
And he gave me that.
He tried for you.
He gave me a maximum effort response. And what have I done for that guy? Been a friend, right? Yeah. But it's not like I didn't pay his mortgage. I didn't buy him like a big teddy bear. He's just being a friend.
I don't know how this all just turned into a love letter to Igor, but we love you, Igor.
We love you, Igor.
With that, I gave Randy the opportunity to do a couple laps with zero distractions. I did laugh a little bit as he was driving extremely fast, so I'm going to give you the opportunity, though you seem to drive the fastest when you were just thinking about gummy bears and racing. So I will give you 2 laps now to do everything.
Okay,
do everything you can.
I'll try. All right. Was Randy able to improve his time during this?
He did. That's when he locked in and set the 11.
Tough. It's difficult.
It's really interesting in the way I'm distracting now. The way that I wanted it to drive is essentially the more effort you put into it, the more ridiculous it's going to be.
It looks like I didn't beat Randy by much, though.
You beat him by an entire second.
Well, Randy, you're going to have to come back for part 2. If you want to.
I like that. Revisited. Love that.
It's fun. It's a fun challenge. I think you tune this very interestingly. It's not like impossible, but it's almost impossible.
That was the goal.
I'm not gonna improve. I'm already half a second down.
That's not a tank slapper. That's an entire car slapper.
Laundry mode, activate. Nope, nope.
Amazing effort, though.
Thanks.
And so our second episode comes to an end. As I said before, I'm lucky enough to know many of the AI drivers in the game and already have 2 more lined up. Who would you like to see behind the wheel of the Unreasonably Tuned Car next?